going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about another data structure in the C++ programming language. Now we're going to talk about the queue, standard template library support for the queue. So this is also a container adapter, and you're going to be understanding everything. Just type along with me. So hash include, we're going to have hash include input output stream, and we're going to have a using namespace standard like always, just writing our boilerplate integer main. We have the return 0 over here, and essentially we need to include our header file, which is called the queue. So basically hash include queue. Now this is included, so now we could use the standard template library support for the queue data structure. This is also a container adapter, means like it constrains the underlying implementation of what we could say an abstract data type like a list or a deck, and we'll be covering those in future videos. I have covered a linked list video, so there's going to be a card on the top right corner, you can check it out. But in the queue, we're going to be basically doing the STL implementation in this video. So let's talk about some of the member functions, what we could do. So for instance, if we want to define a queue, we could just type in queue and then we just put inside of a data type. So we could put our user defined, or we could put the predefined data types. So I'm going to be including an int, and I could just call it as, I'll say my queue, Now this is my queue. Alright, so this is how we're going to create our variable, which is queue int my queue. Now the only thing what we're going to have to do now is use some of our member functions that are predefined inside of our queue STL. So one is actually when we want to append stuff into our queue, right? So if we want to append or add stuff into our queue, which is actually a line, right? So we're going to have to use an iteration like we use a while loop, or we could use a for loop. In this case, I'm going to use a while loop because in the previous video I used a for loop. So let's actually have a variable defined, and I'll say we'll say 10. And what I want to do is I want to include a while loop, and I actually say num minus. And what I could do here is actually do the enqueuing part. So I could say enqueuing, and I would say enqueuing, and then I put dot, and let me just put the number because that's keep on changing. So I'm gonna put that. And now let's do the actual enqueuing process, which is we're actually doing what we did in stacks, which was pushing stuff. So we're pushing that into our line. So my queue, which is my variable queue, and we're gonna say push. We're gonna push the value num. Now each iteration it's going to be pushing it. So the first iteration is going to be like this. So it's going to be num minus, meaning it's going to turn into 9, not 10. So 9, it's going to enqueue 9 inside. Then after that it's going to decrement to 8. It's going to enqueue in that. 7 all the way to, look, now 0 is going to be enqueuing as well. So 0 enqueued, and then once it's 0 minus 1, well that is minus 1, and that's not going to be helpful. So the loop is just going to break out once it reaches minus 1. So you're going to have 10 elements from 9 to 0 enqueued inside of this my queue STL data structure, whatever it is. All right, so now after this we're going to want to do other things about this. We're enqueued it. Now we want to see the size. So let's see the size of the queue. All right. So the size of the queue, I'm gonna have a colon over here, and I could just say my queue dot size. Now this is gonna give us the total size, and then we have a console output. We could say the front of the queue, and we're gonna say which is my queue dot front, and this is gonna give us the front element. Similar to that, we can say the back of the queue, and we could say my queue dot back, and let's just give that back. Now over here the front is actually, you already know the size, which is 10, and the front should be the number which is the most, you know, the oldest one. once the first one we ever enqueued inside of our list, or what I would say our queue, which is actually a line, right? Like people are standing in a line, just imagine, and like the first person always gets its service first, and then the people behind will get it later. So yeah, first in, first out service, which we could say FIFO. This is actually the methodology for queues, which is FIFO. And as compared to the other ones, which were for stacks, which was LIFO, which is last in, first out, that's completely opposite. So we have 10, and then we have the front of the queue, which is gonna be the most oldest, the oldest one. So that's gonna be 9, because that was decremented. And over here, the back of the queue, which is the newest, it's gonna be the 0, 0, 1, 0 element. So over here, you just remember that. All right, so now after this, let's dequeue our content. How do we do that? Well, you could use an iteration again, or we could use a member function. Now what I'm gonna do is actually use a member function. So let's say while, and we'll say my queue, QU, EUE dot empty, EMPTY, and I could just put inside this a negation. So this is actually going to return a Boolean value, and it says if the queue is not empty, do some kind of process here in the while loop. So the process we're going to be doing is we're going to be simply dequeuing our elements. I would say console output, I would say DEQUEUING dot dot dot. Now notice I don't have now the content here. I don't have a num. So I could use my QUEUE dot front. And this is going to indicate me that what's the front element, because I already told you it's a FIFO process, first in, first out. So the front one will be dequeued first. So it's going to dequeue the front one. And then after that, okay, I just noticed that I forgot some of these angle brackets here. All right, so now let's actually do the dequeuing process here. So my QUEUE dot front, that's actually the front. We want to dequeue it, we'll use the pop method. So this is going to dequeue the stuff. So right after that, we're going to actually have the size over here. Just let me just copy this. So copy, and we're just going to paste it here. And instead of now, after dequeuing everything, it's going to be 0. So this is actually our code. Now let's run this simple code. So let's just go CMD, and I'm just going to go here. So I'm going to say G++. I'm going to say QUEUE.cpp, and yeah, let's just, okay, so we have an issue over here. There's no such file. Let's see, queues.cpp. Sorry, my bad. Okay, ran. Actually, the default name for the executable is A, so I'm just going to run. Now you can see we have a whole bunch of stuff here. So remember that we had to enqueue the elements from 10, right? The 10 was num, so it dequeued it. So actually enqueued it because it was minus 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. And then we have the size of the queue, which is 10, correct with that. Front of the queue, which is 9, which was the oldest one. And then after that, the back of the queue, which is 0, the newest one. And then we have dequeuing in the same kind of order, right, from first to last. So 9, 8, same exact pattern. And then we have the size of the queue, which is 0. This was a fairly simple and easy to know, easy to learn implementation of the STL method for queue. I hope you got maximum benefit from this video. If you did, go subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. And also like this video, share it to your friends. And we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks. Peace out.